Hello and welcome to everyone. Our goal is always to inform, to inspire, and to ignite the greatness that lies within each of you. Today, I'm really excited about my special guest, all the way from the beautiful nation of Guyana. So, what is exceptional living all about? Well, we're always going to provide local, global thought leaders, experts, innovators, creatives, and change agents with life changing concepts, strategic insights, intentional tactics, and certainly proven tools, all to equip and empower you for credible influence, for distinguishable competency, and indelible impact. In a world that has conditioned us to fit in, know that you, yes, you, were created to stand out, to be exceptional, unique by design. So, welcome to our show today. My very special guest, as I said, hails all the way from the beautiful nation of Guyana. He's described as a futurist, driven team player, and excellent communicator. Martin Messiah, business development consultant with almost a decade of global leadership, based in Guyana, with comprehensive skill sets in artificial intelligence, content creation, marketing strategies, website development, video production, and animation. I like to say that he is a serial entrepreneur with various ventures that include music, animation, and capital and project management development. So, Exceptional Living, welcome my very special guest, Martin Messiah. Hi, Martin.
Woo! Woo! Great to see you again, April.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I am really excited. Thank you for being with us today there in beautiful Guyana. Thank you so much for coming to the show. Martin, I definitely could not have put everything that you've done just in this little introduction because you and I met in another nation, the nation of the Bahamas, for the International Third World Leadership Association, which we both are a part of. Your parents have done great work over the years in the organization and also have made a significant impact in the nation of Guyana. So there's no surprise that you also are making impact there. So thank you for being a part of the show.
No problem, Dr. April. Yeah,
So,
I'm glad
Martin,
to be
tell us,
here.
what is exceptional living for you besides living in a beautiful country? What does it mean to you?
Well, I noticed that on your show you have like three very key driving principles, and that actually reminds me of how I started all of this entire thing. It was really about exceptional living, but my own definition and my principles are to create, to innovate, and to disrupt. So even at the beginning, before I ventured into all of these different like really unique areas, I kind of focus everything along those lines because I didn't just want to be I didn't just want to do like a basic something. I really wanted to explore, what was possible, what is possible. That's why one of the first things that I got into was like droning. That was like providing aerial services to different clients and all of that. And we were one of the persons who were really early onto the market before regulation and all of that. And it was really because we wanted to create something new, we really wanted to innovate the space of videography and ads and everything like that. And we also wanted to disrupt because I remember growing up, one of the few things, one of my favorite videos to watch was actually a video in Guyana where they were talking about these different locations, and there was actually a guy on a helicopter that flew around with a camera. And probably 10, 20 years after that, I was then using drones to capture content for different clients and everything like that. So exceptional living for me is all about being able to create, innovate, and disrupt. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy either. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah.
No, because I've seen your creativity. So should I tell our audience about the music video that I'm in?
Yeah, sure.
Remember
Definitely. I don't
that?
mind. That was a nice video.
So yeah, so we first met Martin. He's, we had this song he had. He goes, and all of a sudden you could see like the creative juices flowing. He's like, let's do this, let's do that. The next thing I knew, ladies and gentlemen, I was in a music video. Along with two other of my colleagues from Spain and from Cameroon. But Martin's imagination, his creativity is literally limitless. Martin, you shared something that was really interesting, and that was about disruption. And you said that, it's not always easy to disrupt, the status quo, what is the normal. And we've actually seen that over the past 2 years, right? Talk about a major disruption globally. What have you done in your businesses and your enterprises, and maybe even some things you've done in your own personal life to shift, to pivot during these times of disruption?
Well, I think during the pandemic, we actually spent a lot of time like just switching entirely to digital content delivery, and that included like working along with the client out of Texas, DEI. It included shifting to animation, which is something that we kind of really got into a little heavier coming onto the pandemic. So that was a great switch. But the entire thing was that we had to figure out a way because no one really knew what was going on. We just knew that we had to adapt to different regulations, different conditions that kind of forced us out of a space we were able to be connected as usual. So my approach to it, I could have done it because of the kind of services I provide is like a lot of consultancy and that kind of stuff. So we did a transition entirely to digital, or in a big way to digital service provision. So with that approach, we're able to really scale up and to grow and develop during the pandemic. But it was also a challenging period because we had to. There were projects that we had already lined up, like literally a couple months or maybe a month or two before. I was actually in another Caribbean country, Trinidad, doing some early promotion behind one of the other releases that we had planned. And that entire campaign had to shut down because of different regulations. So it was a very challenging period. But during that period, we were able to really embrace the digital landscape and to create like regional networks. Like we're able to get into different competitions, into different specialized training programs and everything like that. So it really forced us into that space. And I think that my heart goes out to all of those businesses that really invested money like in 2019 in order to launch this, they bring their visions to life. And then in 2020, it was game over, for a lot of
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
So that is something that really hurts because as an innovator, you kind of empathize with all these people and the pain that they go through. And
absolutely.
I'm glad that some people were able to survive and some even thrive.
Martin, I will say this, the what you just shared was very profound, but yet relatable, like simply and relevant to what all of us go through. But I will say this, what I have noticed when upon our first meeting really is your attitude, right? I don't know. I picture you as like, working on something and then it all, even if it were to all tumble down, you're like, well, I won't build it like that again, or hey, I can build another. You always have this upbeat attitude. And I know there may be times when it's not so, but I just have always seen you with this can do attitude. And it probably goes back to what you shared with us, right? Being creative, innovative, disruptive, looking for how you can create positive change. And talk to us a little bit about how important attitude is, especially during times of setback or disappointment. How do you keep that attitude, Martin? How do we get it too?
Well, for me, I think that being sad it's something that's natural, but I think that allowing yourself to really wallow in like a bad environment or an environment that's not really conducive to you, at least a mental space that's negative, I think that that could be a choice. And there are many persons who are in terrible situations. Objectively, they're in terrible situations, but because of where they are able to shift their mindset, they're able to see hope and they're able to see a lot of things that could happen in the future. It's all about possibilities and opportunities. And I think that that is something that I would have really embraced. And I think that that's something persons who are really concerned about, who are not happy a lot, I think that apart from seeking like professional help, something that I do is to generally think about what can be, all right, this is a situation, all right, that's a situation. Now I could choose to either be sad about it or I could choose to be happy and figure out, all right, how are we going to move on to that next stage? And I found out like when it comes to when it comes to really sad situations, or situations that put you underneath a lot of pressure, they you really are put in positions where you could literally just fall in and collapse. You could stop working, you could stop being productive, or you could choose to take a break, to recenter yourself and to push on to the next level. So I think that that's something that person should do. And I can even share a couple of experiences. So when you're growing a business, not every entrepreneur isn't like first come, like yeah, bum, right to a success. Sometimes you have to go through different periods where you're trying to figure out what's working and what's not working. And the moment you stop moving is when your vision dies, you know. And that's happened to me before. Like I've had ideas or plans that have died before. And but I choose, you know what, all right, one died, something else is going to come along, you know, because you have to live with that kind of hope. And living exceptionally, again, to me, is about being able to create, being innovative, being disruptive, and always being positive when it comes to embracing new opportunities that are on the horizon. And I think that that'll even stretch out to other aspects of your life, even outside of business. I always think that, you know, where I am right now, yeah, I'm whether it's being happy or sad, it's where I am right now. But you know, it could always be better, you know, even if you're in a bad position, I always say it could always be better. Or, you know, it could have been so much worse. So that's where I put my mindset, just to
Yeah.
remain productive.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, you have to choose. The reality is you have to choose to be happy, right? You have to choose to see the glass half full, even though it may be half empty, right? It's about how you perceive, because like you said, it's got good things happen to us all, things that we don't expect happen to us, but it's choosing to say there is hope beyond. And it's, as a fellow entrepreneur, we know this, right? There's a different level of engagement and commitment when it's you, right? This is not I'm going to HR and voice my complaint. You hear the complaints directly, or whatever it is. It's a lot. You know, the onus is more on you. But I love the fact that you said it's going to happen is common. And I love this because really scripture tells us that, you know, trials, tribulations, disappointments, they're going to happen and they're also common. But there's hope, right? There's a hope for a future and expected end. And for those of us as persons of faith, as believers in God, that's what gives us hope and helps us to choose change and the desire to want more and to become more. And I think that even spills over into relationships, right? I mean, you've built several successful companies. You know, how did you choose your business partners or those who work with you? What do
So
you look for?
just before I go on to that, I like that you reference scripture. And I think one of the greatest persons for entrepreneurs to look at is like Nehemiah, because the guy, he was really revolutionary. You know, he said, you know, let me build this wall. Let me figure out this wall situation. And over time, in record time, he was able to rebuild it. But he had a bunch of people saying he couldn't make it and all that. And this is in the Bible. You know, if we were to translate it into the way that we speak nowadays, he he would be one of those interesting leaders who've been able to really activate and engage so many people around. So from a biblical perspective, I think that he is a great person for entrepreneurs and visionaries and innovators to look at, even though he might not necessarily fit the frame of a traditional innovator. But what was the question again? I just wanted to put that piece
You
in
said
there.
I had something. So I was talking about how do you choose
Oh,
uh,
true. Yeah,
with
collaborators. Yeah.
writing your business
So
or clients? Yeah.
all right. So I think in my case it was a lot of trial and error. And if you're an innovator, you are going to fail a lot. Like some people fail less, some people fail more, but failure is there, especially when you're trying different methods, you're trying to figure out what's working, especially if it's in a space where you haven't really had a lot of experience before. Like I remember how to I didn't even know how to stamp receipts. I didn't even have a stamp, you know, when I started. And in Guyana, some depending on the kind of clients that you have, you might actually have to use a company stamp. So I had to be asking for help. All right. And then I went back and I figured out, all right, I also needed this. So there are going to be a lot of periods where you fail. And from that failure is where I figured out, all right, these are the kind of people that are going to help you, or you can work along with your business, you know. And for me personally, I kind of choose persons who are highly skilled at what they do, and persons that understand the vision that I'm going with, even if they don't necessarily have experience in what I'm dealing with, you know. And that expands that mindset of mine even expands to personal relationships and everything, because I need persons who are proficient in what they do, or persons who are just generally proficient, you know, and they have a good idea of what they're doing, because I need to depend on persons who have a skill set where they can deliver. Right? Some persons, other persons might not use that model. They might value loyalty and commitment and all that a bit more. But for the things that I do and the kind of clients that I try to attract, I need to be able to deliver a certain level of content, a certain quality of content to them. And I need persons who are proficient, you know. And
Yeah.
then once I figure out, all right, my partners, they must be proficient in whatever they're dealing with. You know, I then figure out, all right, do you buy into what I'm trying to pull off? Because I think some persons, when I come to them with different ideas right away, they're like, we have never done this before. I have no idea if it's possible, and I'm not too sure about this. And
Hmm.
then there are other persons that are like, I've never done this before, but let's see what's going to happen,
Yeah.
you know. So it's important to get the persons who are skilled, get persons who believe in the vision, and then thirdly, I would put someone who's committed to helping you bring it to life, because you still need that loyalty thing, but you can't really entrust very unique projects that are delicate with persons who do not have the skill set or the ability to quickly adapt into those unique environments. So that's how I kind of choose my collaborators.
Yes, because you definitely need skill, right? So
Yeah,
and so
and you're gonna
you
get burnt too. Like
and
you're you are
that's
you're
the
gonna get
reality,
burnt a
right?
lot of times.
You'll do your
Yeah,
best. You'll look at this is the resume. They have everything, and it
yeah,
could be something that happens on the job that is character related, right? There's a lot of different sayings about you hire for skill, you fire for character. You could teach someone a skill, but you can't teach character. But you can't be just loyal and faithful, but then not have skill. And you can't just be really good at your skill, but then not have character of integrity and trust and things
yeah,
like that. So it's finding that right pH balance of how all of these work together. And certainly in your capital and development and animation, you definitely need some skill. It needs
yeah,
some skill involved, and I think we can't underestimate skill, but we certainly also reminded of the importance of having character. And I love when you said you're going to fail. And there's some
yeah,
people watching are like, well, thanks, Martin, you just told me to keep a good attitude and think of what's to come. But I like to think of fail as first attempt in learning. And it really reminds me of a story that's actually in scripture that talks about talents, right? There's one who's got one, another two, another five. And it's kind of like that in our entrepreneurial spaces. You know, Coca-Cola was started by an entrepreneur. Look at it around the world. And then there are other entrepreneurs, maybe smaller companies or mid-sized companies. They call them mid-cap, small cap, all these things. All of them are entrepreneurs in their own right. Even if you have a work from home business, right, or an online business now where you're shipping product or services or whatever, you're no less of an entrepreneur than Coca-Cola, or Microsoft or Apple. You're all entrepreneurs. You're just in a different space depending on what the skill, your niche, and what your target market is. And so for those who are watching, says, well, I guess I'm not. I just have this small little home-based business. Don't think about it just being a home base, just being small, because everything starts in a seed form. Even us here
yeah,
today, we started really small, right, in our mother's wombs. But look at where we are today, and so that's the same for your business. It always starts small. And it also made me think of, Martin, like even the light bulb that we enjoy today, right? How many times the test failed, right? They didn't get the light bulb to stay on. But sometimes I think to myself, I wonder if the greatest tests, the most failures, come to those who are going to have some of the greatest impact on our world. And that could be up for debate, right? But I like to think that regardless of it, even if I don't know, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep persevering. I'm going to keep a great attitude because Martin says so. He shared with us today. But I think, again, those are all testaments to what it takes to be an entrepreneur, really what it takes in life, who you partner with. Martin, I know that you're recently fiancé. We talked about relationships to Miss Anella, also known as your honeybee. So talk to us about that. What was that like? How did you know that she was the one?
About some tips of, sorry, I didn't hear you for a second.
I said, how did you know that she was the one?
Oh, all right. So that was interesting.
Personally. So we're in personal relationships now.
Yeah, yeah. So I always knew she was the one. That's a brilliant point, Martin. But essentially we met in undergrad, and I think from the first time I saw her, I knew I wanted to establish a relationship, some kind of relationship with her, and then I realized like over time that we were a great match, and we were like an excellent team together, and I think that she really does. She's a unique embodiment of that's my mantra, create, innovate, and disrupt. But she doesn't do it within the entrepreneurial spaces yet, and that is something that I really admire with her. And I think being able to talk and develop like a productive relationship together, we've been able to kind of create visions together and figure out, us together is going to help the kingdom to grow and expand even larger than it already is, And I think there are a lot of efficiencies that we could also bring to the space. So I'm really glad that we're able to, make that deal, nail that connection and everything like that. And I think that using that approach of finding persons that you not only like, but finding persons that you could be productive with, I think that that's something that a lot of persons could benefit from.
Yeah, that's good. So I think you should share with us a little bit that you're alike in some ways, but a little bit different.
Yeah,
But
we're very different. Like on the outside, it's
right?
it's
Yeah.
it's almost like night and day, you know. Yeah, it's that's
Uh,
what it is. That's a fact.
yeah, yeah. But that complements it brings some balance and certainly manageability to what you're creative, you're innovative and disruptive. She is too, as you said, a bit, but a little different. But it's
Yeah.
okay. Um, so I know we're just about at the end, and again, I just want to say thank you for being with us today from the beautiful nation of Guyana. Martin, what would the man you are today say to the boy that you were? What would the man you are today say to the boy that you were?
No, that's a very interesting question because over the last 3 months or so, I've been wondering that same thing. If I was able to go back in time, what would I change? What would I tell the younger me? And I think I would. There are two things I'd probably tell him. The first thing is to buy Bitcoin. Definitely, I would tell the younger me to spend as much money as they can on Bitcoin. But apart from that, I would tell the younger me to embrace innovation and be pragmatic about it. I think that's the best advice I would give to the younger me, apart from the Bitcoin stuff, because I all right. So I'll give you this kind of idea. I think for leaders, people who want to live exceptional lives, you have to kind of get to know yourself, and once you're able to understand who you are, not in like this person's a nice person, but I mean like a deep definition of who you are. I think that is going to help you to figure out what works best with you. Persons would even recommend or I would even recommend doing personality tests like Myers-Briggs and that kind of stuff. Do meet with advisors, meet with image consultants like Dr. April, talk to people like them who are able to objectively criticize and help you to understand who you are and what you bring to the table. And I think that is one of the greatest areas that persons could benefit from. So I would tell the younger me, the first thing, of course, is to buy Bitcoin. Definitely, like they just spend money on Bitcoin and just hold it, And then the next one would be to embrace pragmatic innovation. This is where you don't only have these amazing ideas, but where you work on it in very detailed fragments, and that would help you to avoid like failures with bad partners, bad relationships, bad collaborators. It would help you to lose money less. Like you, as an innovator, you're going to lose money, but if you can limit that, that also helps. And I think that would be my advice. But yeah, it was a pleasure being with you here today, April.
Well, Martin, I appreciate it. We certainly do from our global family. And what you just heard again, I just want to say, Martin said, buy Bitcoin and hold it. And I think one of the principles behind that, Martin, is whatever you invest in, right, be willing to wait for that investment to mature. You know, we talked about seed and Nehemiah building the wall. He built upon it every day until he saw the wall. And then lastly, be pragmatic also in your innovation. And
Yeah.
that's powerful. You know, I opened the show saying that we're going to hear concepts and insights, intentional tactics, and certainly proven
Hmm.
tools to equip our audience. So thank you so much for
But
being with us today.
one other thing I forgot to mention, Dr.
No,
April.
please. Yeah.
One last piece of advice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need 100 successes. You literally need one or two to live an
Mm-hmm.
exceptional life.
Love
So
it.
you could have 100 failures, and 101 is a success. It could take care of everything else, right? So
Absolutely.
don't be worried that you failed once or twice or three times. Just fail forward. That's the advice I give people. If you're going to fail, at least learn from your experiences. Don't make the same mistake twice, and keep on growing from strength to strength.
Oh, wow. That's so great. So fail forward. I love it, Martin. So keep moving, keep pushing, even with the hurdles, even with the obstacles, even in the failures. Choose to be positive thinking, choose to be hopeful, be innovative, be pragmatic, and buy some Bitcoin. Thank you again, Martin. You see there, everyone who's watching, how you can follow Martin Messiah on his social media handles. I'm telling you, great things are coming out of Guyana, so stay tuned. Martin, thank you again. Regards to the family, all of our love and blessings, and thank you again for being part of the show today. Thank
All
you.
right.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching Exceptional Living. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You don't want to miss any exciting episodes. So stay tuned and remember that you were created to stand out, to be exceptional by design. God bless.